and watching over Israel is another thing that we do, and we think that it's important that we do that we would show allegiance to them. So, Father, we ask that you would bless this meeting. We will answer anything we possibly can. We don't know what the answer is. We'll get help, but we will tell you what we're doing and how we do it, and we thank you again for being here. B'Shem Yeshua.
Thank you, Don. Okay, so let me go ahead and see. Oh, go back to there. I'm going to discuss membership. We have several new members that have come to the shul since the last business meeting. Some of them are not here, but I'll just mention them anyway. Mickey Banner, Barry Hansen, Ian Davis, Stephen and Chrissy, there's Chrissy. The pretty one's here. What about, oh, there he is. Okay. And Wolf and Catalina. I don't think I missed anybody. And let's talk about membership. Why does one want to become a member? There's several reasons. Number one is you say, this is my home, and I'm going to invest myself. I'm going to make an investment of my time, my talent, my treasure into that congregation. If you're not a member already, you want to be, it's very simple. We send you a copy of the bylaws. You look at the bylaws, our statement of faith, and say, yeah, that's great, and I agree with that, or I got a question about this or this, and then you'll sit down with two of the elders. Recently, it's been Bobby and myself. We have a very simple questions about how'd you come to faith, what do you think your spiritual gifts are, what's your history with congregations, we answer any questions you may have, and then we give you the secret handshake and you're good. And there is no secret handshake. Becoming a member then also means that you get to vote like we will today on the budget. Okay, and so you have input. But so if you're not a member and you want to be, great, just see me or one of the elders and say, I'd like to become a member. If you're not a member already and you're here today, we welcome you. We want your input, and you may ask all the questions you want. Questions are good. We want to be very transparent and show everything about everything and answer all the questions we can. Another thing about membership, and I'm not sure. Nope. Okay. Another thing about membership is we have these. Am I there yet, or are we doing teams later? Later. Okay, I'll do it later. I'm sorry? Number six. Okay, wow. Okay. All right, so I'm done for now. Thank you. Questions from the audience?
I didn't get my coupon book this year.
You didn't get your what?
My coupon book.
Coupon book. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. We'll get back to you on that. Thank you so much. Oh, my God.
Sorry.
That's okay. He's grown. He's not do that.
Okay. It should have been the case that you guys were sent a copy of an amendment to our bylaws. This is one of the other benefits of being a member. You get to vote on this amendment. Okay? There is some discussion here. Basically, it provides an explanation. The congregational leaders want to provide for the development of future leaders and for a natural progression as we move forward. The turnover in the leaders, in the elders, in the deacons, team leads, all that kind of stuff. The one that's most difficult is elders. Elders have a spiritual responsibility before the congregation to watch over the congregation. You can't just, like turn a switch and automatically you become one. So we want to go through a training program. Well, there's really no training program that we could understand as described in any other congregation, any other denomination, anything like that. So we looked at the scriptures, and there were two men that were very much in that position. One was Joshua as an apprentice to Moses, and Joseph, who was, as it were, an apprentice first to Potiphar and then to Pharaoh. And each of those men learned their responsibilities, learned their jobs without having full authority. They did the work as under the leadership and guidance of a master. We wanted to follow that same model. And so we picked up that term apprentice, and we said, we're going to have apprentice elders, or apprentices under the elders. Yes, Michael? I think we probably could, but if you did, you'd lose your membership and then you'd be evicted. So I would suggest,
This is not the shul you're looking for.
okay, so you got that, right? You saw the hand wave, your mind went blank.
You may sit on this council, but we do not range in the red. Excellent. Sorry.
So that's what the leadership wants to do. We want to provide a training mechanism and an advancement mechanism whereby men can be trained up to step into the role of elder. Okay? It's very difficult to be sitting in the audience one day and have the current elders call you up and say, here, stand here, we're going to pray over you, you're now an elder. It's hard. It's jumping in the deep end of the pool. So we want to develop a mechanism by which we can train those, and we're calling them apprentices. So the amendment to the bylaw reads like this. Under Article 3, the structure, under the section, the Board of Elders, we added a number L, or subsection L. It would say, apprentices. The board may appoint men whom they recognize as developing into the role of elder. These men comply with all the biblical requirements for elders and are being groomed to serve in that capacity at an appropriate time. We do not have all of the when this happens, how this happens, all that worked out yet. That can all be worked out in the course of time, but we had to have a structure in place within the legal parameters of our bylaws for that. So, we would like to ask for any questions, any discussion. If a lot of talk, okay. Dale?
We think Bobby and Cindy others are listening in.
Oh.
So we want to be sure they can hear. Thank you.
I have no problem with that, but the word nowadays, the word groomed, has another meaning that may want to be addressed and may want to be substituted for something else. Grooming has a negative connotation nowadays.
Oh, I am unaware of this. Okay, what would be a, how much? Prepared? Okay, so discussion is that the word groom is inappropriate because of society. For those of you who are aware of it, I don't know what it means, but okay. And I don't want to know. Okay, so okay, so in place of the word groomed, we want to say prepared. Is that a reasonable word?
Yes.
Okay, so with the substitution prepared for groomed, any other discussion? Sir?
Could we talk briefly about how potential deacons, others are solicited or brought forth before the congregation?
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So we have, at the highest level of our structure, overseers, those who watch over particular areas of responsibility and programs and that kind of stuff. And there is, within that overseer area, we have elders and we have deacons. And they each watch over different functionality, different, if you will, how we've implemented it at this point, teams within the congregation. Elders, we just talked about their progression. There will be apprentices that the elders will select, talk to them, go through that process. For deacons, our bylaws already have a mechanism in place, and that mechanism is that potential deacons, of which we now have none, because our last living deacon just became our latest elder. We have no deacons. We should have a few. They are, the mechanism that the bylaws prescribe is that deacons are nominated by the congregation. And then they are vetted and evaluated by the elders and any other deacons that are part of what's going on. And if they pass that vetting process where they're evaluated against the requirements that are in the scriptures, and they decide they're willing to serve that way because it's a higher target for the enemy, if they choose to do that, then the leadership will select them and they'll be ordained much like Don was here this morning. But that starting of the process is by a nomination from the congregation. Now, to avoid an embarrassment, we don't want to do that publicly. If someone is nominated and then in public and the leadership discusses it with them and finds that there's a problem, we do not want to embarrass someone and have their name then withdrawn. That just didn't seem right. So we think that the best way to do it is for a private nomination. And so you can, however you would like to nominate, there's nothing prescribed in the bylaws. If you want to give their name to one of the elders, if you want to send an email to our email address, which is congregation.sar.shalom@gmail.com, and put in a name, you're welcome to do that. You will not get feedback from us unless that person actually finishes the process. We're not going to tell you, oh, no, they didn't make it, because again, that could be embarrassing to that person. Any questions about how that process works and why we want to do it the way we're doing it? Yes, before you talk. It's on.
Okay, so my question is, this seems like a new thing, this whole nomination thing.
It's been in the bylaws. We approved those November of 2008. So it's
Right.
relatively new.
And I'm sure everybody has read those very thoroughly.
I would think
And-
memorize them is appropriate.
Right. So this is me just saying, if maybe we could have a annual reminder of like, hey, if there's somebody that you would like to, that's all.
Oh, this is your annual reminder that if you would like to nominate someone.
I just started talking like that. I didn't turn it off, sorry.
Okay, anybody else? Any other comments? Okay, if there are no other comments, we would like to take a vote. All those in favor of adopting this verbiage with the modification prepared for groomed, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Those opposed, raise your hand and say nay, and we will discuss it. Okay, it's unanimous. All right, we'll go on. Yep. The next, our support for Israel. Last year, after the business meeting on October 7th, you all may recall what happened in Israel, right? Hamas out of the Gaza Strip attacked Israel with a horrific attack. The leadership heard about it, and our first inclination was to pray, and then we needed to support Israel. And we went to the congregation and said, hey, we want to do this, and this is what we want to do. And we sent out a proposal, and the membership agreed 100%. And so we started supporting Israel. There are some of the numbers. So from October of 23 to August of 24 now, we have sent approximately $100,000. Our little congregation, $100,000 out of our budget. Yeah, exactly. To various agencies and ministries in Israel. We also, just for reference, put out $27,000 for those shade covers. JD helped coordinate that so the kids didn't have to burn up outside. Yay. Now, for reference, our bank balance went from 172 down to about 100. Okay, so this did cost us something. It's not like we had a couple million sitting in the bank, but we felt that this was appropriate. It was for a time such as this that God had set aside that money for us, and so we brought it down. Now, we have some competing concerns from here going forward, right? We do want to be involved in what is being done to support Israel. This is a time that we need to support the ministries in Israel, to support the people of Israel, the nation of Israel. But we also have the need to support our own congregation. If we do not support our own family, then we're not dealing well with the situation. And given the economy today, the various members of our congregation are unemployed. Others are having difficulty with their employment. So we wanted to make sure that we had enough funds available to help support that. So that's a competing interest. Michael? Okay, lost child is back. And then we wanted to continue to grow our ministry, right? We don't want to just stop where we're at. There are more people that are going to hear about the congregation, want to become involved. That's going to require more ministries to be spun up for different age groups and different people. That's going to incur costs. We need to have money for that. So those competing interests are having an effect on how we send money and what we send. So what the leadership proposes, and what we've been doing for like the last 5 months, 6 months, is we take, in a given month, after that month closes, so for the previous month, we take how much income we had, how much of our budgeted expenses we had, we take income minus expenses, and whatever that is that we have left, we say we can send that to Israel. Now, one time it was below $1,000, and we said, no, we have to give at least $1,000. So we did that. Another time, it was way over. It was the next month, and we said, okay, we're going to not send all of that. We're going to limit it to 10,000, because that's actually what we'd send in our previous email at the very beginning of the discussion. Anyway, so that general guideline, which is the money we bring in, income in a month, minus the budgeted expenses for that month, whatever difference is left is what we can send, and then the leadership decides how we're going to send it to Israel. I can tell you what the ministries are. We'll see that, I think, in the slides later. But the question to you all for your approval is that a reasonable way for us to approach the support of Israel, or do we need to do something else? And so I'd like to open it up for questions and discussion. Any? Otherwise, we'll take a vote and say yes or no. James, do you have? You have.
Yes, so I heard you mention that you were also concerned about assisting with economic hardships.
Right.
Does that, when you say you took expenditures out, does that include putting some money aside to help those who need that right now, or that's just facilities maintenance and toiletries, and then everything else goes to Israel? Does my question make sense?
It does, very much does. So when we get to the budget, we'll look at it, but we have what we call budgeted expenses. And one of the line items in there is called counseling, because it's just a group of things. The big entry in there for expenses is what we've in the past called tzedakah, which is righteousness. It has a concept in Judaism of mercy, the idea that you care for people. If someone is having a financial need of any kind, and the leadership decides we're going to help them out, could be new tires for a car, it could be medical bills, it could be living expenses, all sorts of different things. But we have that money already budgeted for this year coming up. You'll see it, it's $30,000. So just so that you're aware that we have that money available. So it's already in the budgeted amount, and it's included in what we take care of. So it is not outside of what we handle.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, a vote. Everyone in favor of continuing the support for Israel the way we were currently working it, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we go on. The next thing we want to look at is a review of this year's finances. If you need to see the details, let me know. Some highlights that I'd like to call out. Our income through 3 quarters, right? So that our fiscal year, September 1 through August 31. Technically, today is August 31. I could have this morning run all the numbers and tried to update this. It didn't happen. So this is through 3 quarters. So I was saying our income is on target based on what we thought. Our ministry support is approximately 30% of our income. When I say ministry support, those are outside ministries, not inside. Ministries outside of our congregation, okay? It's about 30% of our income. Plus, we send about 75% of our income. That's why our bank balance went from 170 some down to 100. Tzedakah actually turned out this year from the counseling team to be well below what we'd allocated. It was only about 10% of our income, which was kind of surprising given the way the economy is getting, but I guess God is blessing all the people of our congregation. Our rent and gifts, the facilities was well over 30%, but most of that was for the shade covers, and that's good. Most of the other expenses were well contained, and so then this year we have, we're reporting a new thing, and I'm sure nobody cares about this, what I call durable assets, things that are not being expended. And so we have a bank account, we have the furniture that we have the Torah scroll, we have some musical equipment. The total of those assets is about $120,000. Whoa, the wand is handed.
Indeed. So in some of the gifts...
Kiss the mic. This one, not that one.
Yeah, thank you.
Please, continue. I guess he's done.
So in the gifts to Israel, I've noticed that previously we've purchased Israeli bonds.
Yes,
Is that allocated inside this 120K or is that separate?
it is within that. It's part of our investments, yeah. It's about just short of $5,000 now. Oh, okay.
Is that what triggered you to this year do the durable assets? Is
Yes.
the fact that we don't
Part-
just have our income now, we have other areas.
Right, we have our bank balance, we have furniture and that kind of stuff, and we have an investment in Israel bonds. Israel bonds is the Israel bonds of the state of Israel. So this is a significant thing. Okay. There's this year coming up, hang on that for just a second. This is real busy, and I was remonstrated for having the small numbers there. There's a purpose behind that. It's because really nobody cares about numbers. I just kind of go wave my hand like JD said, this is not. And so you don't care about these numbers, but there they are. There's the second half of them, and there's the pictures. And basically, the blue bars and the other colored bars down here, the blue bars are income. And so 2 years ago, it was 100,000. I can't even read those numbers. And we budgeted 120, and 3/4 came in at 90 some. So this year's going to end up right at around what we budgeted, what we anticipated. So we said the same amount next year. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what God's going to do, but given the way the economy is and things going on, we figured that was appropriate. Our expenses, again, are pretty much in line with 2 years ago. Our budget was a little less, but we've been spending more, mostly because of the support for Israel and the gifts to Clearview for the shades. So, if you have any questions about the details, like, wait a minute, where is this number, or how come you're spending this, you should have gotten a PDF in anticipation of this meeting, and it should have all the details in there. If you want to look at that and give me a call or send me an email, or if you just want to buttonhole me after the meeting and say, hey, could you tell me about this? I can tell you about just about everything except where we spend tzedakah. We won't tell you who we spend the mercy money on. I can tell you the amounts, I just can't tell you who, because that would be embarrassing to someone and we're not willing to do that. Okay? So let me go back and say for this year in the anticipated budget, we're projecting no increase on income because of the employment issues, and we don't know what's coming up. Most of the expenses are increasing to match our available income and increasing activity. So the expenses are going up a little bit, but they've always been below our income. We've always been putting aside extra money. This year we've been spending more because we've been sending it to Israel. And then our support for Israel during the war, our plan is to take, and we just explained what that was. So, do we have any questions about the monies we've been spending this past year? When we finish this year, like early next week, I'll put together the final set of numbers. We'll publish it, we'll send it out, and if you wanted to look at them, if you have any questions in detail, you can let me know. But for the purpose of this meeting, we want to get a vote of approval from the members. Do we accept, are there any comments first? Questions? No? We want to get a vote from the members to approve the budget as presented for this past year that's closing today. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Okay, duly noted. And then the budget for this upcoming year, especially with regard to the way we're approaching it, particularly the support for Israel. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So you'll get the final numbers for last year. We'll send that out coming up in the next week or so. And then here are those funny little numbers again, only there to pretend like we actually did something. And now Mr. JD gets a chance.
Hey, and y'all should thank Mr. Lund for doing such a good job on finances. Your check's in the mail. Involvement in teams, you should have gotten a copy of in your email something that looks like this. And these are currently the areas that we have been blessed with people. And you can see the places where it says open. That means that we want somebody in that slot, in that place to take on the task. This is going back to membership of being invested, being involved, okay? And the question is, where do you fit in, right? You remember Ed Sullivan? How many of us remember Ed Sullivan? Well, right on our show. The guy spinning the plates, right? It's the 80-20 rule. 20% of people doing 80% of the work. I think it's true in almost every organization, but it doesn't have to be. And so you have gifts and talents that we need as a congregation, and whatever those gifts and talents are, there's a place for you to fit in and find yourself leading a ministry or assisting with a ministry. We in the leadership talk often about watching people and how they just go do stuff. They just get involved, and that is such a blessing. And so if you find yourself with some desire to serve in a particular area, let us know. We want you to be a member first. I think that's important because then you have signed on to our vision, our desire. You've signed on to our statement of faith and what we're all about. And so then we can find a place. But a few of the places that are open, events, special events team, if we have a bar bat mitzvah, if we have a wedding, if we have, God forbid, a funeral, then that may be your cup of tea to help plan and organize and put those pieces together. Facilities, safety team is one of our biggest needs because we need somebody to kind of coordinate with the police officer, radios, things like that. And so you may have a desire there. Welcoming team, which I think is terribly important. One of the comments by Todd, Noemi, am I saying it right now? Noemi's husband, we felt so welcome here. We felt so many people greeted us, so many, and I think that's terribly important. And where does that start? It starts at the front door. And we'd really like to have a couple or several to say, that's our job. We want to welcome people. Hey, how are you? Here's the restroom. Here's the coffee. Here's a book, and count whatever. Shelley and I like doing that, but with so many other things that we need to do, that's something easily to hand off to somebody or somebody else. So we just want you to be involved and find the place you fit. Some other things coming up. Let me beat the drum in approval for Ben Lund, who's about to start a bar bat mitzvah class for our babies. Okay, Rachel's going to be teaching Hebrew to our children. These are critically important for the growth of our congregation and for the growth of our children as they become, children of the commandment, son of the commandment, daughter of the commandment. So if you have any questions about that, where you might fit in, or you say, I have the gift of hospitality, I have the gift of whatever, then please let us know, and we can certainly plug you in. Questions from the audience?
So what if you have the gift of Amazon?
The gift of buying, okay? You'll probably be on the finance team with Mr. Lund. And, yeah, gift of Amazon. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Any serious questions from the audience? Yeah, comments? Okay. Thank you. I don't know what's next, but let's, one more.
Stand by. Wait. I got one job. I'm going to do it.
The gift of microphones. That's not on the list.
for those people that did not get the email, can you just quickly list off those open areas you were talking, or did I just miss that?
No. So the open areas that we currently have, events team, we need a lead on that. And on this list, right now, it needs some tweaking, some updating, but this is what we have currently. For example, Bobby Bachum's list is a deacon, he's an elder. Don's a deacon, he's an elder. So there's still some fine tuning on that. But events team, special events team, safety team, and welcoming team, those are the places currently have open. Now, a lot of these have a lead and a co-lead. So it's something like, you know what, I'd like to be on the welcoming team, but I don't want to lead that thing. I don't want to head it up. So that was an opportunity to maybe fit in. So we'll come back to you. Hang on.
So where are we at on the Israel tours? Exactly.
Yeah, we have no Israel tour. Sorry. Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah, one of the plates that's spinning, yeah, not.
Hey, this is more of a comment, but we have some.
I'm sorry, we're not doing comments, we're doing questions.
Yeah, okay.
Usher.
We have some people on the list doing multiple tasks. And so if you see something that you're interested in and somebody's name's on there 8 times, feel free to offer.
And I agree with that, and then some of it's just the lead person, it gets duplicated, and so, yeah, understood. Okay, good questions and a decent comment. All right. Okay, that's all I got.
Okay, next one is the high holiday services. So, these should have also been in what was sent out to you. So you should have it. If you have any questions, the important one that's going to be different is the Kol Nidre. We start at 6:40 in the evening. No food, because this starts the Yom Kippur fast. Okay? You're wearing white, and men can wear the talit in the evening. Normally, you're not allowed to wear a talit in the evening, because it says you're supposed to see the tzitzit. If it's dark outside, you can't see it, so we don't wear it. This time you can. The other things to call out, Yom Kippur, we're going to start our afternoon service at 5 p.m. So we're not going to meet in the morning, because then we'd be here all day fasting. It's doable. It gets kind of painful. We've done this in the past. So people get cranky more than normal. So what we're going to do is we start at 5 o'clock. We have a normal mincha service, which is kind of a reversal of the morning shacharit service. We then finish that just before sundown. We have a short break. We do our Nilah service. And then after the sun goes down and the fast is over, we break the fast together. Okay, so that's what's coming up for the Kol Nidre and then Yom Kippur. Now then the next Shabbat after that, on the 19th,
Mr. Lund?
we do not have services scheduled, but, yes ma'am.
Okay, and wearing white is just a tradition.
No ma'am, it's required.
Yeah.
It's absolutely,
If you don't wear white.
if it's
it
not
doesn't matter.
spotless, don't even show up.
And we do that for, both Kol Nidre and Yom Kippur.
Yes, for Kol Nidre and Yom Kippur, and there's other traditions if you want, no leather and stuff like that.
Can we back up to Rosh Hashanah?
Yes, please.
Because in Rosh Hashanah, we're planning that 10:30. So there'll be more information coming soon, but we'll have the service, and then Tashlit, people are coming to our farm, which is right down the road, to cast your bread. You're sent upon the water. The ducks eat it if they're hungry, the turtles or whatever. It's just another tradition, but last year what we heard was it was really meaningful to the children, and that's a good thing to do. So we'll be giving you more information about that.
And then it says that on the 19th, even though we aren't going to have services, the holidays team is thinking about other activities. And where did our holidays team member, who's staring at me?
I'm in charge of the microphone today, buddy. I don't know who you're talking about.
So I think they're thinking about things for the kids. I'm not sure what they are. They're still working on it. When we know, we will get back to you.
Was there a specific question?
No. Okay,
dates I saw, but like, Kol Nidre is a Friday night and Yom Kippur is a Saturday.
yes,
And so that, in lieu of our normal Shabbat, that's taking place.
yes. Yom Kippur supersedes the normal Shabbat.
And then, were there other, we didn't have a double this year.
Double Shabbat back to back.
Yeah,
That'll be next spring
okay.
at Passover. We've got, you got to start planning now so you get it all. That was a joke.
Something else that we want to consider is not kindling fire on the Sabbath. Kathy Lynn brought up a good point. Kol Nidre begins Friday, right? A bit before sundown, but that's probably sundown time. So the idea was that we're going to make this available to the congregation to buy a 24-hour candle so you can light the, am I doing that right?
I think you're thinking of Passover next year.
Oh, well, whatever. Okay.
If they want one, we can buy one for them.
Next year, we'll do that later. I'm confused in this situation, sorry. Anyway, we'll talk about that later, sorry.
No, it's a very legitimate concern. You don't want to light a fire on Shabbat. And so the way around it, you don't like to find out, the way to honor it is that you light a candle, a 24-hour candle beforehand, and then when you get to that point that you would normally light, you can just transfer the light to the candles, transfer from the 24-hour to the others. So, yeah, that'll happen next year at Passover. So keep that thought in mind. Any other questions about the holidays coming up? Okay.
Are we going to vote on the holidays?
Do we want to vote on obeying God and following the holidays? We vote yes, okay. I think Korach had an answer to that. The earth opened and swallowed. Are we done yet? Well, almost. So we're open for questions. Questions for the leadership, questions about anything you've heard about, questions and concerns, any of that kind of stuff. We're open for Q&A.
I do want to mention that, we've got the Torah Ark, which is relatively new, and we are having a bima built to match, so they coordinate together very well. Bradley Lamphere is doing that for us, and we also have successfully negotiated with Clearview to get all of this closet for storage. So it's going to give us a lot more space. Part of that is because of the bima, but just to let you know that that's in the works. And we're also working on mantles, the covering of the Torah scroll, a blue one and a white one for the High Holy Days that have our logo on it. I don't know if we can pull that off before the High Holy Days this year, but we're trying. So just to let you know kind of what's coming down the pipe.
Yay. Okay. Michael, you had a question. Okay.
JD shot.
No, surprised.
Something that we don't get to hear often, but is on my mind and may not be on anybody else, is that in the past we've had different locations, and this location seems to be really fitting well for us. How's our relationship with the other congregation? Are they happy with us? Are we neutral? Start with yes, not no. No's a negative.
So James Hall and I talk probably 3 or 4 times a month or text. He couldn't be happier. He has told us, I'll just give y'all he's the pastor here. Ben and I had this conversation this morning about where's the Bar Mitzvah class going to go. James Hall said, this is your campus on Shabbat. If you need both buildings, all the buildings. The only thing they have is the second Saturday of each month is a men's breakfast, and we can work around that. I'm going to be very frank with you. We have talked about as we grow that this table setup may not work. We may indeed need to move the meal to the fellowship hall, the Family Life Center. So not today, not this week, not anytime soon, but we're thinking ahead about that, and he's like, we'll work it out, we'll make it work. What I find is, like, for example, there's a wedding on the 19th here. Well, he's telling him, you can't come in there until 3 o'clock because Congregation Sar Shalom's got the building. And he asked me about that. He said, well, as a matter of fact, we're not even going to be here. So then they could set up on Friday. But he's very careful to say, no, they're using the facility. But so the relationship is good. And you need to be praying about that it stays good. That is a blessing. Yeah, good question.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Things that have been presented, things that haven't been presented that you were anticipating? Things that you would like to talk to us about, except for Michael? Okay. If there are no questions, the last thing is... I'm sorry, we closed Q&A.
Were we ordering the lulav and etrog for the congregation? Did we want to talk about doing that?
Yeah, the question about ordering the lulav and etrog. Oop, the real ones, not these plastic ones, or the little kid ones. But yeah, the sheet is here, and we've got 16 people already. All right, yes, we're doing that. And the shul is going to buy these, straight up. If you want to then make a contribution for the monies that were spent, you're more than welcome to do that. But if you want it, you got it.
So for Zach and Danielle, during the Sukkot, you wave the 4 species before the Lord. You make a wave offering, and we buy the real thing. So that's what that's about. In years past, some of us that live on the farm, we went and got willow and myrtle and got a lemon and made do. And so we're going to make it available to the congregation, much like that 24-hour candle that happened next year, which we'll talk about later. So thank y'all for being here. It's a blessing. I will tell you that being involved in a congregation is often not easy, but it's worth every minute of it. I have told you before how much we love you, and I mean that sincerely. Some of you are dear friends. Some of you bring a lot of joy in our lives, and we count it as a privilege to be here. So for those of you that are not members and want to be, holler at us. Otherwise, we are so grateful to have you, and let's pray. Father, the blessing that we have to be in this congregation is that you delight yourself in the assembly of believers. We ask, Father, that as we continue to move forward as a congregation, that you bless us according to your will, and prosper us, O Lord, so that our tent flaps are up and open, and that others may see and come to worship the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our God, the one true God, the Holy One of Israel. We bless you for sending Messiah, your Son, and giving us Torah and the gift of the Ruach HaKodesh, the gift of the Holy Spirit. Bless these good people and bless the rest of our day, weeks to come, and especially, Lord, as we make our countdown to Rosh Hashanah. We bless you for this time, and thank you for Jim and Bobby and Don and all the others that are working so hard behind the scenes to make this happen, especially you, O Lord, as you knit one to another. We pray in Yeshua's name. Amen. Okay.